Hello, thanks so much for being here to watch an overview of our senior capstone project. My name is Emma Taylor and would love to just pass off the introduction to my classmates.
I'm Erin Moore.
And I'm Romona Deodath, and this is our presentation, Let's Social Work.
So in our project, our main aim is to gather first qualitative understanding regarding the experiences of the 2021 and 2022 BSW students in the School of Social Work. So our aim is to understand their experiences, but primarily our aim is to understand the holistic approach to placements and see if there are any potential barriers to students coming into the program with realistic expectations and understanding how to adapt to uncontrollable situations within their placements. And ultimately, we just want to know, are there areas where like students are not being set up for success, maybe in terms of unrealistic expectations going into it. But we want to know if, based on our research and student feedback, if there are ways to better equip and prepare the students leading into their placements. And ultimately, how are students going to get the most out of the learning experience as emerging professionals by working through challenges within their field placements? So we created a survey to get feedback from our classmates to help us build this project. So I'll talk a little bit about the purpose of the questions that we crafted for the survey. All senior social work students were given the opportunity to answer specific questions describing their internship experience. And we put out that survey in a few different platforms. One, we have a 2022 social work student group me. So we put it in the group me a couple different times, and also just through word of mouth, we shared that with our classmates. And so the answers, they've been consolidated and explained on the form.
We had 5 different survey questions. Our first question is, what would you change about your placement? A couple different answers. We had concerns about the distance from the residence of the student to the placement in general, and then also concerns about having a placement on Zoom. The second one is lost revenue from gas to the placement and also just time away from their own job. The third one was too many required hours, and a possible solution to this is just having different required hours for different placements, and this would allot for students who had to be on call for their placement and also students who were asked to go to overnight camps with their clients. And a fourth response that we had is just having more control over the learning process in general. Students would have been more happy being invited into the conversation about what they're allowed to do or not allowed to do. And in addition to this, they would have liked to have been less sheltered from the realities of their placement to get a full perspective of client interaction. Second question, are you content with learning from your placement? We did have a 75% yes and a 25% no. Third question, what changes would you make for a more enhanced learning experience at your placement? Some responses mention the difference in treatment between the BSW and MSW students at their placement. Noticed more trust the organizations had in the MSW students and the lack of work that BSW students had in comparison. Second response mentioned the supervisors, questioned the supervisors' ability to assign tasks and caseloads to their interns, and just noticing that there's little in place to check the supervisor in general. The fourth question that we had, has your field liaison been helpful for you throughout the process of your internship? We did have all responses express praise and no specific names were mentioned. Our fifth question, if you have any other comments or concerns that you'd like addressed about your placement, one of the responses we had is resume workshops, just being able to tailor your resume to the placement in general, and then also concerns about how issues were handled by staff with a little less compassion.
So before we ended our presentation, we just wanted to go over project limitations. So the first one is the BSW field placement does have 48 members. However, this survey does not cover every person's feedback. The other limitation is that some students did not feel comfortable to give feedback because their placement did change in the middle of the semester, meaning they didn't feel like they got a whole year worth of like experience to give accurate feedback. And then the last limitation is our own personal one would be the questions may not be in depth enough, they might not be clear enough. So the questionnaire itself might be missing an important aspect to determine if placement was effective or not. But thank you, and that was our capstone presentation.